Hi everyone, my name is Arcadia and welcome to my channel. So today's video will just be a movie rant video. Recently I watched a movie called The Mystery Train that was produced in 1989. I honestly found this movie from my Pinterest boards because I save random international movie titles and then I try to find the movies. And this movie was actually easy to find because I just searched it on YouTube and someone just posted the full movie like 8 months ago. So it was extremely convenient for me. Um, my expectations for this movie wasn't really anything. I thought it was gonna be a movie about a couple that's has some weird kind of love. Um, but in the beginning of the movie, we are introduced to two people, a couple from Japan that are traveling to Memphis for tourist activities, primarily to see the king, uh, Elvis Presley. And they go to the place for a tour of like a studio or something, and they realize that they could barely understand what the hell these people are saying because they speak so fast. After they're done with all their tourist activities and comparing their hometown Yokohama with Memphis, they eventually get tired and they find a hotel, which isn't nice at all. When they first come, there's literally a prostitute walking outside. But the gentlemen that are at the desk, I don't really know their names. But we have, the caddy boy, I don't know if that's correct, and the man in red, who I'm assuming is a pimp, just going off of, old movie stuff. But they're honestly the most entertaining characters for me because they have a cute dynamic. You can see that this was an amateur film based off on how the pacing of the movie goes, but it's still enjoyable because it like of the good acting and their writing style. But anyway, this young couple, they get a hotel. They get a room in this hotel, which is very one star. Somebody probably got shot there kind of hotel, and then they are doing their romantic antics, which was what I expected based off of the photo and the title. Not the title, the photo of the movie. I don't know what it's called. The cover video cover. I don't know. Never mind. But yeah, I thought the movie was gonna be about them, but actually it's about three different stories, and a lot of different people, including Steve Buscemi. I don't know if I said that name right. I'll add the correct one later. But yeah, this couple gets a hotel room. They have, some dialogue like what are you gonna miss about home and blah blah blah. Nothing very interesting. Then the scene cuts to this new character. She's from Spain. I don't remember her name, but honestly it's not important. But apparently her husband passed away, and she's just doing a layover, and she has to get a place from um, in Memphis for the night. So of course she ends up at this sleazy hotel. Um, while she's the stories are playing simultaneously. So while the movie shows the Japanese couple leaving, this woman from Spain is also in the hotel with another character and another character and another character, which I'll just explain later. But she's having a layover. She's transporting her husband's body, and she's very sad. When her storyline begins to play, I was honestly confused because I thought the movie was turning into like a horror aspect. This woman's just walking around cluelessly around this town, getting scammed, buying a whole bunch of magazines, going to a cafe, and a man's telling her that, oh, you were meant to be here and blah, 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 give me money, which she does. And like the guy is really weird. Like, this Memphis is depicted as a very sleazy town. And this honestly scared me because I've never been to Memphis, but Jesus Christ. But yeah, she's a very ditzy woman. She has a lot of money, seems like, probably because of her husband. Uh, but she kind of just gives her money away and becomes a target. So at the magazine store that she goes to while she was passing by, ends up buying a whole bunch of magazines that she doesn't need. And she meets this guy at a bar slash diner. gives him money for telling her a bad story. And then finally, she finds a hotel for safety because that guy was creeping on her. And she splits a room with this girl that's running away from her boyfriend, I think. Um, but yeah, they get a room together, and this girl that she meets is just like yapper. She's talking about, how she's leaving her boyfriend, how he's weird and stuff like that, and where she's gonna go, what she's gonna do. She's gonna go with her sister up north in Mississippi or something like that. Um, but yeah, it's not really important dialogue. The story, this whole movie is pointless, but it's just interesting based off the characters. So yeah, this chatterbox of a girl is talking about, getting away from her boyfriend. And then, they fall asleep after having conversation. And this woman from Spain sees like the ghost of Elvis Presley. And he disappears by like posing after he says, some weird dialogue that's senseless. And then like this woman from Spain, she doesn't end up falling asleep. She just, lays in her bed and stares emptily because she just saw the ghost of Elvis. But this sleazy hotel is like a tourist area kind of for Elvis, or the pop culture of Elvis was very strong in Memphis. Look, I don't know much about Elvis Presley, to be honest, but they had a whole bunch of paintings of Elvis Presley. The girl who was talking about her boyfriend also said that her boyfriend looked like Elvis Presley, and her boyfriend's like a British man, Englishman. But they switched to his story, and basically, her boyfriend is like a drunk. He's a violent thug. Apparently, he murdered someone with one of his pals. And, because he's broken up with this girl, he's just kind of crashing out. Originally, I thought it was going to turn into a horror movie again, where, this English guy was going to go and, find his girlfriend and then, like, offer, but that actually didn't happen. Instead, he did that to a random stranger. Um, can't say he didn't deserve it because, he called his pal a slur and then he shot him dead and then was on the run. And then Steve Buscemi pops up, which I didn't expect him to be in this movie. And I'm so excited that I watched it because I could see, old Steve and like his earlier movies and films. And it's so fun and exciting. But he's a good actor, in my opinion, in this. He's really fun. He brings, more character to the movie. But anyway, Steve, or yeah, I don't remember his original character name. Steve gets stuck with this group, with this thug and this Englishman. And he's stuck with them because the Englishman is actually his brother-in-law, and the chatterbox woman that's sharing the room with the Spain woman, I cannot remember names for the life of me, but they're stuck together because he's his brother-in-law. He doesn't really want to leave him or let him do anything too crazy, but unfortunately that happens once too many times. So this Englishman ends up shooting the store owner, gets on the run, and then once they're tired of being on the run, they book a hotel in the same sleazy hotel that the Japanese couple's in, the two girls are in, and now it's the three of them. So they book a hotel and they get like this nasty, crusty room that looks like it came out of the pre-war era or something. And they share the room while getting drunk off of booze until, this Englishman reveals that, Steve's sister was never legally married with him, and, he's not his real brother-in-law. And Steve gets so upset about that. Honestly, I understand it because he's like, why am I doing this crazy shit with you and you're not even my real brother-in-law? So the Englishman eventually tries to off himself, likely because he's drunk, but the people in the room won't let him do that. So him and Steve get into a tussle, which ends up and Steve getting his leg shot into. And now they're panicking because the police are on the way. You hear the announcement through the radio and stuff, and then they continue to be on the run. But the small detail is that this Englishman could have met his girl, reunited with this girl because they were ironically in the same hotel. But didn't happen because that guy is literally crazy. But anyway, Steve, the Englishman, and this other guy, they stay on the run, and they refuse to put Steve they take Steve to the hospital because, of course, they get arrested immediately. So they let him suffer and they toss him in the back of their truck and continue running from the police. Um, the girl from Spain, she runs back to her plane because her layover is over. The other girl gets money from the girl from Spain, takes a train, is gonna go live with her sister and her new baby. And then the couple from Japan, they're going back home. So honestly, it was a nothing story. It was pretty entertaining, with the funny bits, mainly because the chauffeur boy, I don't know the word, and the pimp that owned the hotel, they were adorable to me. But this was just a nothing story. It was just about multiple different people connecting their storylines. Um, if I were to give it a number, I'd give it like a 7 out of 10 because it was a nothing story, but it was still entertaining. There's build up, there was tension, and there was Steve Buscemi. Hopefully, I'm saying his name right. But if you want to watch this movie, it has some pretty cool visuals. Yeah, that's honestly all I had to say about it. But definitely don't regret watching it, and it's free on YouTube, so enjoy.